Okay, so we requeened that first one. Now we're going to look at splitting this one. And this one I already know is a healthy colony. And so I'd actually probably be best to start off with just splitting them apart to get our old mite treatment away. So I'm actually going to throw this lid back on. The other good thing to do too is just remove grass from the front. It can sometimes, especially in the summertime, can actually aggravate the bees. It prevents them from ventilating the hive properly. Yeah, so just a good maintenance ritual to do. So this one, I am going to check for swarm cells first thing first. And I can already more or less see there's nothing protruding that would concern me. So that's a great question. It's not a new one, and the way we can tell that is new ones have a white wax to them or a lighter color. But when you see those, what you do is just open it up with your hive tool and look and see if there's an egg or if there's a larva. If there is egg or a larva, then you know you have a swarm cell, and then you have to go to checking frame by frame to make sure they're not going to swarm on you. Now here's one that looks like it, but if you see, it's actually horizontal, it's not vertical, and so that's actually a drone cell. But like, see, here's another one. It's not active. There's nothing. Some colonies just have a proclivity too to just keeping those just in case. Russian bees especially are known for that. So these bees here, we could go ahead and split. And what we're going to do, because I know a lot of you, if you only have 1 or 2 hives, you don't want to have 2 yards that are 2-3 miles away from each other. That just kind of gets to be a pain to maintain. So I'm going to show you how you can split these and actually keep them in the same yard. And the way you do that's very simple. But first we need to locate the queen. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab one of these extra lids here and put this on top of there so I have a work surface. Throw this one back here, offset a bit. Move it so it's a little more stable. There we go.
So you offset it just so you don't squish.
Yeah, just so you don't squish
the bees.
The other thing too, whenever you're looking for the queen, is you want to try and use minimal smoke, because queens by their very nature are sort of shy, if you want to call it that. And so if you smoke them a lot, especially if you have this box on top of the second box, chances are pretty good that she's going to make a run for it down into the lower box and you're going to miss her. Now the way we're going to set this one up for splitting is I'm going to shake the bees off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go frame by frame and just see if I can see her. Because if I see her, then obviously I don't need to bother shaking the bees off. Once again, remember that thing of wherever there's open brood or emerging brood, that's where she is likely going to be. And let me show you one other thing here. I'll come back over here. If you're going to shake your bees, you can shake them directly onto the top of the frames of this single box. Because they've got all this grass going up to their top entrance, there's not a hive here yet. I'm actually just going to shake it in front, and they're going to go in. Obviously avoid stepping there, just in case she's there. So like I said, we're going to go frame by frame here. And I also want to make mention that, like with most things in beekeeping, you know, there's a lot of ways to do the same thing. And so this is just one way of multiples that you can do in splitting.
There's a swarm cell or queen cell on the bottom of that frame.
Where? Okay, and see, that one's not an active one, but what we can always do is, once again, you just take your hive tool, open it up, make sure that there's nothing in there. There's not. So let's go ahead and pick these bees. See, another way you can do a split is you can do a walk-away split, whereas and what you're doing in that situation is you're letting them raise their own queen. In our area, you want to avoid doing that until probably, I would say, probably till the beginning of May, if not mid-May, just because of how unpredictable our weather can be. Now see, these are all beautiful frames of brood, and so that's where we're catching these bees at a good time, because we have a week of weather coming up here where it's going to be in the 70s. They've got a beautiful maple flow going on right now, and these bees are going to get antsy for wanting to swarm. And as I often say about swarming is the reproductive impulse of bees. And it's kind of like teenagers, you know, when they have reproduction on their minds, it's pretty hard to distract them. It's not impossible, but as much as possible, it's better to probably just prevent them from thinking about it as much as you can. It's not a perfect analogy, but you get the gist of it.
Keep them distracted.
Keep them distracted. And so these bees aren't thinking about reproduction right now, but because of just their strength and everything, they will be very soon. So, okay, so once again, you know, we've shaken these bees off in the front. I didn't find the queen, which, like I said, is pretty common. Going back through, make sure I'm not missing her here. But here's a perfect example of a really nice brood frame. In the sense that we've got all this cap brood that's going to be emerging soon, and then on all this open you have larvae and eggs that are all around the same age, which means that the queen is laying very consistently and very well. Okay, so we'll just keep, I believe this was the outside frame. This frame still had some brood on it. Once again, just checking real quickly, make sure the queen isn't hiding on there. Okay, so we have this box more or less empty. So we're going to take it, set it aside, like so. Once again, the lid that I had it resting on, I'm going to shake that in the front. Going to shake these bees from the lid on the front. Give a little smoke there on the top. Grab our queen excluder, throw it on. Make sure there's no cracks or anything. If the queen excluder is even a little off like that, it's amazing how the queens can find that. And so just make sure it's on there square. And then we'll throw this box back on that we shook the bees out of. Another thing with these frame feeders, I don't know, see all that gunk in there. I love these things, but they do kind of get nasty and old. We actually have a new one we're going to throw in there. Once again, make sure the box is good and square on that excluder. If you want to come back around here, you'll see these bees going inside. And so what we're going to do now is come back in about an hour. And another thing, actually, because we're going to leave this split in the same yard, actually on the same pallet, doesn't really matter when you come back, but if you're moving bees to another yard, it's best to wait till morning or evening when all the field bees are in, so you get an equal distribution of the population throughout both boxes. So when you're splitting them, there's a pretty equal distribution of population in both splits. So that's it. We'll come back in an hour and make this box our split. And we know with quite a bit of certainty that the queen is down here, because we shook all the bees that were up here down into the front of this one. And then we have this excluder so the bees can come up, cover the brood. And what we're actually going to do, this part here, is we're going to take this one with the queen and set it over here so the entrance is facing that direction. This entrance is facing that direction. So this new split with the new queen is going to get all the field bees. This split here with the old queen is going to take some time to build back up, but it'll build up quickly, and because the queen that they recognize is still in there, you'll still have a good amount of bees remain in that new split, even though it's in the same yard. Okay, so it's been about an hour. Take a peek here in the top. See, the bees are pretty well distributed through both boxes now. So remember, because we shook the bees down, and see, notice how they all went in the entrance. Shook all the bees down in the front from this box. We know that the queen is down here now because we put an excluder between the two. So all the bees coming up that we shook from this, they have to go through this excluder. So we know the queen is in here. So what I'm going to do is take this one with the queen, put it over here, and take this one, put it down here, and give them the new queen. Another thing to be careful of, when you're moving this box, which has the queen in it, make sure to check the bottom board, make sure she's not there. I mean, here they've just got some garbage, which just collects over the winter. So you're going to scrape that clean. And then this is what'll be our new split. So I'm going to set that one down. Okay, so we have this, our new split in place. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my hive tool and go like that. That's opening up a spot for the queen cage. And by the way, for those of you wondering what to do with queens, I just put them here in my pocket, keep them out of the breeze. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to turn the camera around. This is a beautiful looking queen from Z's Bees in Orland, California, Carnolian. Once again, candy plug. And we're setting her down with the screen out. So, I mean, we can set her like this, or we can set her like this, which is what I'm going to do. We just want to make sure the bees have access to that cage, or the screen, so they can feed her and attend to her. So we're going to put that like that. Release the hive tool, snug up the frames a bit, and then we're also going to give them some feed, and then that's it. Now, because of this is a good looking hive, but they weren't boiling over, so I'm actually going to wait to put 2 boxes on. Even though the way this temperature, the forecast is looking, I probably could go ahead and throw boxes on them already. But you know, when you get these cold temperatures still at night, even if your daytime temperatures are still high, you really want to avoid the bees having a lot of brood get chilled. And so that's what we're going to do. So here's in a nutshell what we did. We requeened this hive. We took one of the extra boxes off just simply because they're just filling one box. And once again, just like you're saying, this time of the year, cool nights, still get cold spells. You want to have the bees clustered tightly, but obviously that balance of not so tightly that if you get a bunch of warm weather and everything, that they're prone to swarm. Took this one, split it. This is the original queen, put a new queen in that, and then we also fed, we're going to feed all 3 so they have syrup. And then we'll come back in about a week and check on their progress.